Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
All right, we are back. Martin False here. Stan Gravois on the set with us. He's going to be joining us to ask questions to Coach Jesse Turner. Of course, Covenant Christian. And I got to say this right off the bat.
Yes, sir.
Y'all don't get enough recognition. And as we move forward with Vanderbilt playing Edie White, I want to make sure y'all get the recognition y'all deserve because y'all have an incredible team. Congratulations
Appreciate it, man.
to y'all. And I see your young son, Jamal, right?
Yep, the young lion right here.
All right. So we want him to sit up there with you and learn what the lights are all about
Yes,
here.
sir.
But y'all going against Ouachita Christian
Yes, sir.
on Friday. They're a 10-1 or 9-1 team.
91, they won the play also 10-1. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so no slouch opponent.
I know.
Y'all going to be tested. Y'all been looking at film. What are you seeing?
They're very big up front. One of them typical up north teams. They very stout at the defensive tackle. O-line, they get a push. They like to run through that A-gap a little bit. So we've been preparing. And all year long, though, we have these opponents who maybe they got some skilled guys or maybe they big up front. But all year long, we focus on us. We try to get better every week. Obviously when we play a game, we're not perfect. So we go back to the drawing board and just try to fix some of the mistakes that we make. Obviously, we're going to make sure we adjust the opponent, make sure we line up correctly. But, again, it's all about us. It's all about how we play and that we can play the way we want to, the way lines play. I'll be happy with the outcome.
You said us.
Yeah.
Us is pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Y'all, and I think just looking at your highlights and everything, y'all are pretty fast. So you're banking on the fact that maybe you can outrun them, outspeed them?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we definitely have in our bag. We got speed all over. We're not the biggest team, but those guys play fast. And when I say play fast, it's not just because they run 4.5 40s or full fours. It's they really understand where they're going. And the coaches are doing a phenomenal job. Our coordinators and our position coaches are doing a phenomenal job of just making sure the guys understand what their objective is and what their role is on the team. And that's 100% the reason why they play as fast as they do.
I will say this, though, Jesse, and seeing y'all, and by the way, I was in the press box with Coach Dark and Coach Townsend. My ears are still hurting a little bit there from Friday night. But, no, it was a joy to be up there with those guys. Listen, I went into the game, I realized, there's Owen Trosclair, and there's Peyton Trosclair, and there's the Abear and the Carter kids.
Yeah.
Your line play does not get 100%. Enough recognition.
Yeah, they don't.
It is. I sat there the whole night and sort of focused on the offensive and defensive line play.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, sort of what you said, maybe not necessarily the biggest kids in the world, but a lot of cohesion and chemistry and understand what each other's doing.
Oh, they're a unit. They do everything together. The day before a game, they go eat steaks at, Evans' house. That's our center. But you gotta just watch them at practice. Not only do they practice hard, but they have fun, and they have fun together. And you can see that on Friday nights. They got the play that's going viral right now.
I saw it.
They jumped off sides, and the best thing I thought about it was they fell together.
Correct.
And that's just a testament of those guys just playing together. Again, they're not the biggest or the strongest, but together they understand what they can do. They can be a force, and that's on the defensive line too.
I'll send that to Jason Serenier in the control room on camera. I want to use it on Sports in the Bayou because I've never seen nothing like it. But to me, you know what I bought into? The coaches allowed it. It's a good moment.
It actually happened earlier in the game.
Yeah.
And a couple of them did it together, and I smiled, and I went, those guys are kind of in unison because Central Catholic jumped off sides a little bit earlier in the game, and they did it. But when they did it that time, I know a lot of people can't even see it. Your slot receiver actually went over with it. So that being said, that shows you that there's that little bit, that's what it takes sometimes.
They're having fun.
They're having fun. But I didn't want to get out of here without mentioning your offensive line play.
Of course.
But it does go back to, listen, Owen Trosclair dropped a couple of balls in the bucket.
Yeah.
Then when he doesn't drop it in the bucket, the A-Bear kids rolling out, fending off with one hand and throwing it out there for a touchdown. 100%. You have to be very happy with that.
But you look at the pedigree of those players. You don't have to go far to see that the dads were pretty good athletes. The grandparents were pretty good athletes.
I am very proud to say I coached both Travis and Ryan and grew up with Steve. So it's like you knew that they could do those things. But it's not just them.
No, it's not. It's just it's a ton of them. Even who orchestrated the O-line thing that they did, it was a player-led thing. K. Quick, he's our offensive guard, man. He's a guy that we can lean on, a senior. We got a ton of guys. Connor Lally, he took the ball.
Good running back.
Ran the ball 17 carries in the playoff game.
Who is, and I hate to call this out without knowing the name specifically, number 12. He runs down people, man.
Yeah, Jaden Burrell, young guy, sophomore. He put a lot of work in this offseason, and it's coming out now, and now he's getting some confidence, and he's playing fast, he's playing physical. So it's definitely excited just to see those guys flourish, not just because they're talented, but because they put the work in.
Let's do this. We're going to take our first break, buy a few seconds on the second one, but once again, Covenant Christian, they've had a great year. Their year has been extended. They're playing a tough team on Friday, so it's a big test. Not that they haven't been tested during the year, but in the playoffs, the tests get bigger and bigger. We'll take a break. When we come back, more about Covenant Christian. Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
All right, we are back. Martin Foss here, Stan Gravaz on the desk with Coach Jesse Turner from Covenant Christian. And Jamar, how you holding up over there?
Good.
Everything's good. All right, I love that. Coach, I'm looking at your roster before. Stan had a great question during the break.
Yeah.
You got a young team.
Yeah, we do.
Man, I love that.
Yeah, and we got some freshmen too that's ready. We got our middle school program did an awesome job this year. We got some guys coming up from there, and we building, man, and the future is bright for us.
But you got enough seniors and juniors just to steer them in the right direction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Stan, you had a great question.
Well, listen, a great problem for Jesse and his team is that they basically handled everybody fairly easily. I mean, there were a couple of games in there where it was a 2-score, but for the most part, it's been a 3-score and a 4-score game that they've won. Even in the playoffs, I was at the Central Catholic game. That wasn't close.
No.
All right. That being said, do you guys, coaches, ever sit down and maybe somebody just kind of blurts it out, man, I wonder what it's going to be like when it's close? Because inevitably it's going to be close somewhere along the way. We hope not.
Right.
But maybe.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot, man. Like we said, we haven't really trailed all year long. But again, it's just our approach to the game, right? We come into a game when we get off the bus, we have that mindset like we're down. Like, we got a very, very chippy team. But still that question has to be answered when it's one score. How do we compete? How do we rise to the challenge, or do we, tuck our tails, like we say? But just the guys that we have in the locker room, I think once it gets to that point, especially during the playoffs right now, I think those guys are going to rise to the challenge. They're very competitive. You got baseball guys who've been to semifinals a lot. They've been to, been at the end, a few times. So we got winners on that team, man, and it's a blessing just to have them on the roster.
I wanted to say this, Martin. The thing about Ouachita Christian is this, that I think a lot of people don't understand. They actually play a classification 3A district schedule. But when they went and took all the select teams and divided them up into 4, they just so happened to fall into the 4th category. So quite honestly, it's one of those things with the LHSA where you're going, that doesn't seem right. That's not quite fair. But it is the way it is. It is what happens when you get into, splitting up into fours evenly.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to these guys. And it's a team. But the nice thing is they have to come into Nicholls State and play at John L. Guidry Stadium. Well, boy, that was a lot of fun being there this past weekend. I'd imagine you have to look at that, especially after coming over from Ellender and playing at Nicholls for home games.
Yeah.
Got to be kind of nice.
I mean, it feel like, you're at home. You know what I'm saying? It's just sometimes you get flashback before the game, that adrenaline's running. I'm still young. Sometimes I feel like I can still play a little bit. So sometimes you get those flashbacks. But, man, it's awesome for those guys just to play in a collegiate stadium like that, man. We call that our home school, so our home field. So it's awesome. It's excellent. The guys buy into it. They love it as well. It's awesome.
Listen, Jamar's going to be with you eventually, but it also is nice to look on the sideline and you have another son, very young.
Yeah, he's
but to have your sons right there.
Oh my God, that's one of the reasons why I decided to come. One of the biggest reasons why I decided to come. They started there since they was in pre-K, and I loved everything about the school once I sent them there. So when the opportunity came, it was almost a no-brainer a little bit when it came to them. He's one of our biggest fans. I got an 8th grader who's doing amazing things as well. He's going to be awesome. So it's definitely a blessing for sure.
Oh, you're right. That is nice to see. When you're breaking down film, I remember being in the film rooms and coaches have a way of really making this a David and Goliath moment. And you can build up your team quite a bit. You don't want to overbuild the other team because then you can psych your team out, but you got to give them a little edge.
100%.
They got some big guys on the other side, and they can run and they can play. But how do you keep your guys confident to just go in there and take care of business?
Well, I kind of I tell stories every Monday, right? And I just sometimes I make believe some things. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I spread the message to our team this morning. I said that team said we didn't play anybody yet. All the work that we put in, Carson Aber, all the touchdowns that you scored. Only trust, Claire, just the leadership that you provided. You did it against nobody's. Man, we challenge ourselves every week like that, and our guys feed off of that. It sets the tone for the week of practice. And like today, after we had our meeting, you can tell, okay, coach, did they really say that? They kept asking me. I say, yeah. And they, in the weight room, they're just lifting. And you can see it is on their mind. But again, the biggest part is we focus on ourselves.
How much do you rely on not only the parents? Because like I said, Steve's grandchildren are up there playing, and Steve was all-state both ways at South Terrebonne. So what they're not hearing from the coaches, they're hearing from the grandparents. And then you got Travis Bears, because they're not letting them off easy. I'm sure they're being fair, but they putting that little extra motivation. You got to rely on that, don't you?
100%. And those faces that you see, you see Ryan, the Trust Clear dad, he's always parked that practice outside. You got Travis Aber, who's on the staff. So, again, I love it. You know what I'm saying? Guys who played the game, guys who competed at a high level, just giving back to their kids and to the school. It's amazing. I'm not going to say I rely on it, but at the end of the day, it's still an extra push for those guys to
They're not bucking your system at all.
No, sir, not at all.
They're pulling the rope with those guys.
They respect what we do as a staff. They just provide a little extra motivation for their kids.
Because trust me, you can hear them in the stands.
Oh, yeah.
So going to the break, Jamal, what position are you going to play?
Running back.
Yeah, you pretty fast? Got a little speed?
Yep.
All right. We're going to see a few TDs from you down the line?
Yep.
All right. What's more important than that?
Just having fun and working hard.
Tell you what, you're teaching them well.
In school, right?
School. All right, good deal. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back next segment with the coach from Covenant Christian, and certainly they have a big game on Friday. We're looking forward to that. We'll be right back. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
All right, we're back. Martin Falls, Stan Gravois. We're talking with Coach Jesse Turner of Covenant Christian. They got a big playoff game on Friday. They'll be playing Ouachita.
Yep.
And it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good test. When you're in the game and you're focused in the game, you're so used to offense your whole life. Of course, I'm sure you played a little defense somewhere, but then it all went offense for you. How do you get excited about the defense when you're so used to playing offense? Obviously, you got to rely on some people.
Yeah, well, you know, I was an offensive coordinator for 3 years before I became a head coach, and I know what I didn't like to see. Right, so when we preparing, especially defensively, we like I said, we have phenomenal coordinators with Markel Dago and Jamal Nixon on the offensive side. I like to rub off ideas off, on them, and they like to rub ideas off of me too. So it's things that I didn't like to see, maybe certain pressures from certain areas, certain down and distance and things that I didn't like to see. And one thing I preach, especially on defense, I just want 11 heads to the ball. I want us playing fast. I want us playing physical. I want us playing chippy. I love it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much my role on that defensive side because our defensive staff is really, really good. But as long as we got 11 heads to the ball, we lined up correctly, I have no problem with it, for sure.
And they are physical, very physical. Listen, one thing I saw that's very unorthodox for me, at single A, I don't know if you have to do it. I don't know if you would have had to do it back in the day at Ellender. You have a quarterback who goes in, he throws a 60-yard, drops a dime for a touchdown. The next defensive series, he's playing a 3-tech.
Yeah.
He's playing defensive tackle.
Yeah.
The quarterback.
Yeah.
When did that happen, and how did that happen?
He's a football player, man. We don't even like to call him a quarterback. A lot of people don't know. Last year he played offensive guard for us. He started offensive guard and made all.
Wait. He was a guard last year, quarterback, and defensive lineman this year.
And defensive lineman. Well, he played defensive end last year, and he led our team in sacks this year. Our ends are playing so good, and we love him on the field. Just like I said, it's a competitive edge. We love him on the field. So sometimes when you got Carson Abear at end and you got number 12 at end, Jake Burrell, we want to get him on the field, especially in some third down situations. So, hey, go play 3-tech. And a lot of times this year he made a bunch of plays.
For people who were actually watching some of the highlights as we were talking to Jesse, there's one run where Carson Abear runs basically into 4 defensive linemen from Central Catholic. Yeah. And I actually turned to get up at that time, and he got out of that some kind of way. So it's not only, you have the holes sometimes, but it's sort of fighting through it, too.
100%. And I talked to Carson Abear today. I'm like, man, what got into you this week? Right? Because he had a great year all year long, but something, you seen a fire in him this past Friday, and he said, Coach, I don't know when my last game going to be. And I say, I like that. You know what I'm saying?
But don't you love that I can recall players in all sports, quiet as could be during the week, minute them lights went on.
It's different.
Something went off in them.
Yeah.
And that, as a coach, you got to love it. Yeah, they're not engaged, but come Thursday and Friday, they start changing. All of a sudden, they're like, chippy would be a small word to use. They're ready to play. You got to love players.
I love the run, actually, right there. How he comes out of this is pretty mind-boggling. I'll say this, though. Martin kind of led off when we started talking to you about, one school we forget sometimes is CCA. Yeah. And I think that leads to that little bit by those kids to say,
that chippiness, right?
We ain't going to let you forget us.
Yeah. And now, in the community now, we were talking about a little bit more. Yeah. But we setting that standard. That's what we want to be, the staple. I know we got Edie White and Vanderbilt playing, and we want to be up with those guys. When you say CCA, we want to be recognized just as much as those guys. But we know we got to start from somewhere. It's a very young school, but we're building it.
But I will say this, and I'm meeting this morning. First thing we talked about, and I got to say it, I'm a Vanderbilt grad.
Yeah.
I was born in Thibodeau. My mom went to Mount Carmel, Edie White.
Yeah.
Love both schools, but I've made a point. Covenant Christian will get as much love this week, and we're going to cover the game on a live stream like we do Edie White Vanderbilt. Y'all have earned the right to be talked about at the top.
Yeah.
And kudos.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. It's just the hard work that we put in. We worked all year for this. We worked all year for this, and we don't want to just stop here, man. I know that, you know, coming from a 4-8 team last year and being in a position where we're still undefeated in third round of the playoffs, hosting the game, but we don't want to stop, and the kids don't want to stop. They, you know, they want more. And you
remember what Al McGuire said way back? You know the best thing about a freshman?
What is it?
They become a sophomore.
Yep, they become a sophomore. Yep.
And 1 year can make so much difference. And just looking at your roster again, just seeing the young kids there, and, you know, congratulations to administration, to the coaches, to the faculty, to the players. They're all excited. And Stan, I know you've watched them quite a bit. You high on them.
Oh, listen, and then especially, like I said, with the offensive line play, which the little things and the hidden yardage things they do, there's a lot of stuff there to be really proud about with CCA. I didn't think, well, it was only a matter of time when Jesse took over that program. There was no doubt about that. You know, and I'm not saying that pie in the sky. All of the friends that I have know that. And it's great to see it starting to come to fruition. But this is just the infrastructure. Yeah, this is just the first year. And, you know, Bobby said it when we were on Sports on the Bayou. Bobby Abier said, don't ever take 10-0 for granted. Don't ever take 10-0 for granted. That's a special year.
It's definitely a tough task, but we got it done through hard work and just believing in one another.
We're in closing. I want to give Jamar a chance to look up at that camera and say, go Covenant Christian. And we're going to let you close the show for us, all right? You ready? 3, 2, 1.
Go Covenant Christian.
He's up and coming.
Yeah, he's up.
He not only wants your job, he wants mine.
He wants yours too.
All right, thank you, Coach.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you guys.
We'll be back. And don't forget, we got Edie White coming around tomorrow. Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.